what we found, which was very interesting, is that there is an inherent increase of between 500 to 700% in the delivery time of every creative project, just if you want to work with other people. So, and I'll give you a couple of examples.
Wow.
If I'm building a small website on my own, if I know what I'm doing, in 3 days, 5 days, I'm done. Yeah. If I have a client, the 3 days become 6 weeks on average.
Mm.
And but even if you look at this from a bigger perspective, where as a product team, I'm sure everyone experienced the developer that came in and said, "Yeah, in 6 months we're done," and then a year and a half later, still iterating, still working through the kinks. And even at the smaller scale, if we're just doing a single slide, in Canva or PowerPoint, if you know what you're doing, you can drag and drop it in about 5 minutes. But if I need you, Yoshi, to approve it, if we're both on it, it's going to be 30 minutes just waiting for each other. But on average, this is going to be a week, of me waiting for you. You have other things. You're waiting for me. I have other things, and all of these back and forth. That's one problem that, and this is in the current reality with AI squashing the creation time by around 70 to 90% further. We're facing an immediate future where creative collaboration increased delivery time by 50 to 70x, 5,000 to
Wow.
7,000% increase in the delivery time, just because you want to get your work done better through collaborative exercise with a team. That's one aspect. The other part is that creative communications in nature are vague. In fact, we did a research on this, and we ran tens of thousands of email communications that are already, we have within Atarim. There's like an email inbox that agencies use this like as a kind of a built-in Zendesk, or let's say, and so we have that, and we also have the visual collaboration interface that allow people to click any part of the page and leave a comment and things like that. We took those two concepts and anonymized the messages and fed this into Perplexity to kind of check out of those emails, tens of thousands of emails, filter them into creative discussions, and then assess how many of these messages would require a human, are vague enough to require a human to intervene and reach back for additional clarity, right? I think that I'm looking at this from a perspective of what makes something great. And if we look at this at the broadest sense of things, in order for something to be of quality, it has to have two components to it. You have to have good execution, and you have to have a coach that shows you the things that you don't know that are there, that shows you behind the corner, right? That kind of flags, that allows you to avoid arrows in your back because they already had them. Anyone great has a coach. And so, but even if we're looking at it from a company perspective, you have the junior folks, and then you have the senior folks that are the coaches of those junior ones, or the managers, so that they kind of give you insights and information. Or you might go to and do a course. In order for us to do something great, we have to go beyond our current abilities of just executing. But if I'm looking at this from, that's where collaboration comes in. That's that layer that brings the quality up through interactions and through additional opinions and knowledge that is beyond of the person that executes. At the end of the day, usually the person that executes is not the person with the most knowledge, is the person with the most time. Yeah, because you want the person that has the most knowledge to manage a bunch of people that have a lot of time. And to allow them to execute more, right? And so this is kind of like the two elements to it. So by design, the person that does the work usually doesn't know how to do it the best. You know what I mean? And even if we're looking at this from a platform's perspective, all of the tools that are working, or that we're working with in the creative space, they are your yes man. Lovable and Replit and all of those type of tools, they just do what you say. Figma just does what you say, and that's great. You need that. You need something that will actually just do as is told, the yes man. But it doesn't mean that you end up with something great or even good. In fact, all of us have been in this space long enough to know that most creative work is not good. And we see hundreds of thousands of pieces of work going through our system. Most of this is not world class, to say the least. We kind of created the fallback for it. Well, now that you're saying it explains something that I've noticed. I didn't think about it like that, but it explains it. Basically, because they are trained to follow their own skills and believe that they are the senior in the relationship, So they do tend to they used to do exactly that. Whereas like keep giving you the same response. I know what I'm saying. Just change this color from this hex code to this hex code, and it's gonna be fine. You know, just do that. But then it becomes annoying if you're starting to debate with them, and so that's why we have Claro, and Claro is the project manager, which is exactly what happens in a human
Wow.
team. You have the developers, and they dig in. You know, a lot of times they would kind of, I know what I'm saying, or the UX person, I know I've done my homework. I know we got to do it in this way. This is the right way. And then the project manager have the softer skills to kind of come in and gather information from all of those kind of things, and even say, look, this is a bit out of scope, or it's getting out of hand, or just be the sensible person in the relationship. And because his role is not technical in nature, as a project manager, it's about communications, it's about adding clarity to everyone involved. Then it doesn't lock in on an opinion. First of all, it does happen what you're describing, Yoshi, but it happens at a very far stage. So you have
Mhm.
to have many, many, many cycles with the AI in order for it to completely forget what was discussed in the
Yeah.
in the earlier parts of this conversation. And we all have these chats on GPT that kind of became magical. After a while,
Yeah.
it got warmed up, and now there's something happening here, and then you lose it after a while. Kind of that sweet spot. And so it does happen. I think that so far with what we're seeing on, actually this is true for all of the communications that we've had already with humans before the AI, because our interface is leaning into single requests. The threads are not that long. So if you think about this like a Google Docs kind of notes, you don't get books and books of conversations going down in those little comment boxes in there, or Figma comments, for example. You don't get like massive 100 back and forth type of threads in each one of them. You might have 100 of them with two comments each. And so because the starting point, this is exactly where this reality has gone into. And but you're correct that there was a you were talking about something from Anthropic's kind of a podcast. I saw a video by them as well about how they're kind of looking at their agents, and one of the guys there was saying, like, we wanted to see it like them, so we want just looking at the screen and then closed our eyes and open it and closed and open it and closed.
Yeah.
And so that's really how they experience it in these like frames every few seconds. And then what context do you get out of that? What are the gaps in between? So for example, for us, because we deal with long landing pages often, we realize that the pixel position from the top makes a big difference if you're fitting the viewport without, so, and it doesn't know that this is like the third scroll from the top. It acts completely different compared to when it knows that we already went 10,000 pixels down, and now this is probably like the testimonials section or the footer area or something like this. It kind of starts getting these types of this. So if we're connecting the AI's experience to the human experience and trying to give it the exact same courtesy, we're going to see that a lot of these things are just happening on the back of that.